if a customer or potential client learn about your brand and they have the need now, they will buy you now. No matter if someone knows you, they already consider you, kind of. So I think it's much more like from awareness to the moment of the first click, like the last click, you just need to build a brand.
Guta, what's up?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. This is awesome. I'm excited to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
We met, I think, like 18 months ago, more or less, when I was getting our business off the ground.
On LinkedIn.
Was it on LinkedIn?
I think it was.
It could have been. I started asking a bunch of friends who are the branding agencies locally that I should talk to, who are like the brand people. And your name came up every single time. And then I realized you were like the queen of branding in the startup community here in Brazil.
True.
And then we ended up meeting. And I actually remember your advice to me at the time was, don't hire us. You don't need
I don't think you need.
You don't need a branding project right now.
True.
So happy to like give you some advice, but you don't need to pay us this large fee as a startup.
I remember we talked for like 5 minutes maybe because they had to get in a meeting. And I was like, yeah, just let's speak and then we want to hire you. And I was like, yeah, I don't think it's the right time.
Yeah, I'd already done a bunch of due diligence. And I think you'd probably worked with a couple of my friends.
Sure. Probably.
Like Ruben at Sproutify.
Sproutify, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Latitud.
Yeah. How did you become like the queen of branding in this startup ecosystem? Because this is my second time building a startup in Brazil. When I was here the first time, I didn't know who you were. The startup community at the time was pretty small as well.
When was it?
10 years ago, I came down.
Okay, yeah.
Spent 5 years here.
Yeah, so I wasn't. I was in the tradition. I was working with global Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, the Olympics, and like big enterprise stuff.
Yeah, so let's get into your background. What were you doing before Brand Gem?
Okay, so I started as a growth marketing, performance marketing with the FINAC.
What is FINAC?
No, the bookstore.
Okay,
retail, yeah. And I was pretty good at it, but I realized I didn't want that job. It was from organic social media to Google AdWords and so on. So I learned all these performance metrics, KPI stuff. And then I moved to the other side of marketing, which is brand marketing, large enterprise account, international stuff. But I had this tech side of me because performance is pretty much around tracking things and so on. So I had this mentality of results in me. And I'm fascinated by tech. I just like it. And then I realized the future biggest brand, largest brand in the world were the ones being born in 2016, 2015, and not these large, huge ones that I was working with. And I think it's much more interesting to set a brand from the start than it interested me more to do that. And I started, I had this idea to start a company to do branding for a startup because I think it was a niche that wasn't being tackled. So then I decided to start a company around it. I didn't know anything about business because it was a bad idea in terms of business because we didn't have an ecosystem.
Did you have any brand experience at the time?
Brand? Yeah, I was working in branding.
Okay. But more on a performance level?
No, I was 1 year in performance marketing and then I shifted into brand marketing and branding. I worked at the top consultancy branding agencies in Brazil. The oldest ones, the older ones.
Had you ever thought about being an entrepreneur before?
I think now I see that I had entrepreneurial initiatives in me, but I didn't realize that because my dad he's a public how do you call it? Like he
A public servant?
a public servant.
Works for the government?
Yeah, my mom is a politician, so
Really?
So my brother is my co-founder. He's our CTO now,
Amazing.
and my dad would tell him, you should become a public, like it's more safe for years,
Yeah.
So, but then one day I was already running Brand Gym in parallel with working one of the largest ad agencies in Brazil.
Oh, so you were like bootstrapping it nights and weekends.
Yeah, nights and weekends from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'd work at Brand Gym. I'd go to work, come back at 8 p.m., work until 10, and then work on weekends. I did the branding for PicPay in 2015.
Was that your first customer?
No, my first customer, I think, was Spot Metrics.
Okay.
It's a SaaS for malls. Yeah, probably that was the first one. I don't know, as a kind of freelancer, kind of testing the methodology. And then my dad, I once on the phone, and he's like the most traditional person you can.
What the hell are you doing?
No, he was like, I kind of had to decide if I was leaving because I couldn't, the workload was getting heavy on the Brand Gym side. So weekends and nights weren't enough. And then we landed this account, Hotel Urbano.
Yeah.
They are...
that was a big startup in Brazil back in the day.
They are huge, yeah. They are still big.
Are they still big?
Not a startup anymore, but...
I guess because I live in Brazil, I don't use hotels much. But
Yeah. And it's an online travel agency. And they said, the founders, they were very supportive. And they said, get drop your job and go full-time, become an entrepreneur. And I was really in doubt. I didn't know. I wasn't liking my job. I was at a new job, this big position as a manager, working with the Olympics. I was doing a global project for Coca-Cola, working with Buenos Aires and Atlanta and Rio. So it was like,
wow.
I was, my career, traditional one, was doing good, but I was so passionate about tech. And then my dad said, yeah, I think you need to open this company. Start this company. I was like, yeah. So that's...
What changed your dad's mind?
I don't know, but I think I was just passionate about it. And it was happening because clients were coming our way. And at first it was more like a positioning. We'll work with tech, but I didn't know much about startups, probably more than any other person in branding. But then I think when I moved to São Paulo, it was because all of the VCs, they saw the value in what we were doing because we were doing very specific. So the thing is that we were already generating returns through branding. So this idea of using brand and top of the funnel and mid funnel to generate results, the Purple Metrics thesis, I was already doing this. Because when a startup hires a branding agency, they have a runway. They have these milestones that they need to hit before the next round. So it can't be about the concept and the purpose. You need to bring some results back.
So be very practical.
Very practical. And I had this background in performance, so I kind of know how to drive results. And I was using this brand knowledge to drive business results. And we were seeing the cost of acquisition go down, the sales cycle become faster, and other types of results. So the VCs really saw value in it. And they started seeing the results in their portfolio companies, and then the other founders from the portfolio companies would call us and so on, and just, so bootstrap. Before
you know, you're like a TikTok brand celebrity now.
Now I'm a TikTok.
I was telling my chief of staff just now, I'm interviewing this woman, Guta, from Purple Metrics. He said, Guta, she's amazing. I follow her on TikTok. I said, what? She's on TikTok?
People stop me at the street. I went to this at the New Year's. I was with some friends, and then I met this girl, and she's a blogger. She really that's her job. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, I follow you," and I felt like, "Oh my god!" An influencer follows me, but that's recent. It's like 3 or 4 months. now. We started by the end of the year.
Cool. Let's get into that real quick. Why'd you start publishing on TikTok? What's the strategy there?
So I left Brand Gym to Purple Metrics, which is the company that I'm at now. And we are software that tracks brand performance. And our marketing thesis is to prove our thesis. So we are building a brand.
Say that again.
Our marketing thesis is to prove that we are right, that brand brings the results.
Yep.
So we are building the first, because I think marketing was all about performance machines and, do a blog and then get the lead and call people and lead score and so on. We are doing a branding machine for the first time. So TikTok is part of this, because I don't think of it. I think the funnel is more like a metaphor than a reality. Because clients, they don't go on the funnel. They don't go step by step. If you meet someone, if a customer or potential client learn about your brand and they have the need now, they will buy you now. No matter if someone knows you, they already consider you, kind of. So I think it's much more like from awareness to the moment of the first click, like the last click. You just need to build a brand and develop a deep relationship with people and create emotions and present yourself and position yourself. And then get these hooks for them to purchase when they are ready to. So TikTok is part of this experiment of building community, content, brand. And it started, we have done a few webinars that we uploaded on Spotify as podcasts.
Oh, cool.
And people were listening to it. We have this WhatsApp group with 100 marketing leaders in Brazil. So it was part of the community, and I think it was our third or fourth video that already went viral.
Well, viral, like how many views?
I don't know, 100K.
Wow.
Probably, yes.
That's the TikTok machine in action.
It's crazy, because what I think about TikTok is that it's difficult to produce content, because you need to edit something and, learn how to dance, lip sync something. Or
when you watch it, looks really easy. When you're actually producing, it's much harder.
Yeah, each video takes 5 hours for me to upload or something, because it's still me doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, with a bit help from the team to think about the content, but it's still me editing. And so it's not as easy as Instagram to produce content. And when you think about it, there are a lot of people that are paid to produce content for Instagram. So on TikTok, I think it's still unbalanced. You have more audience than people than creators. So it's easier for the content to spread.
The supply-demand ratio is in your favor today.
Yeah. And then there's the algorithm.
Yeah. Interesting. Just gonna ask you a question. What makes a good brand? Okay. Like when you think about, and you're very much focused on technology startups, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was the focus at Brand Gym. That's the focus now.
No, now it's small and medium enterprises.
Okay.
So a couple of startups already grown up, and medium companies, and yeah.
So maybe we can walk us through that. When should founders start thinking about building a brand? Mm-hmm. What makes a good brand for a startup? What are the proper steps to take? Because I think most founders are really good at one thing, whether that's engineering, business, whatever it is. Most of them are not thinking necessarily about brand in the proper way, I think.
The fit of the product market fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what makes a good brand scientifically? I can answer, because that's what we are researching on Purple Metrics. A good brand is one that creates a bond emotionally. So it's a set of values and concepts and ideas that mean something to people. So when you have this emotional link with a company through what the brand represents, it creates moats. because it will be tough for you to change to a competitor. Probably you'll pay a premium price, or if they fuck up with the product, or can I say that?
Sure.
Yeah. Or the experience.
We're talking to founders are listening
I'm
to
from
this.
Rio, so
Anything goes in the founder community.
Watch out. Yeah.
Poha.
Exactly. You got it. So there's this buffer that the brand creates when it creates emotional link. But the problem is most brand people only think about the emotional link. So then we get to this purpose and so on that doesn't generate behavior. So what we believe in Purple Metrics, and to achieve a high brand score in our platform through our software, companies need to create emotional links that drive behavior. So I think that's the key to a good brand.
Can you give me a couple examples of what an emotional link would be that drives a certain behavior?
For example, you now are in love with Palmeiras.
Yeah.
That's an emotional link.
Okay.
If Purple Metrics sponsors Palmeiras, you'll probably have a better.
Insurance companies end up sponsoring these teams, and if you're the business owner, if you own a business with 500 employees and you need to hire an insurance company, you're probably going to consider that brand, yeah.
Or maybe a music festival, or like just listening to a podcast, and then you create this, like you care for this thing, you feel something. So it's not just transactional, because when the relationship is transactional, you'll look at price, you'll look at convenience and other stuff like that. But then you can create this buffer, this moat that makes you drive a few more miles to this restaurant, or pay a bit more in this outfit. And
it's an emotional attachment that makes you irrational.
Not cancel. Yeah, not only tangible. It's not irrational, but not only tangible. But then you also need to be able to drive behavior. So it needs to be an emotional link that makes you want to buy, that makes you become loyal, that makes you prefer this. Probably you can give maybe a positive feedback on an NPS in a bad experience, instead of just talking to all your friends that you hate this company.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, if you tell your friends you hate a company, they're probably, most of them are going to be on the bandwagon of also hating that company.
It's also an emotional
link,
right? So it's a bad one, but it's also emotional. You talk to more people when you are like feeling something.
Yeah. That's interesting. Can you actually, is there any strategy to actually creating a negative emotion towards a brand?
But in order to
sell something?
Maybe Diesel, the outfit company, the fashion company. They had these, kick-ass sneakers. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
The Rebel, every Maverick brand, maybe Virgin, sometimes. But I don't think, maybe Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to feel like a bad boy or something. But I don't know.
Seems like a positive emotion still.
Yeah, I don't know if a bad emotion drives people to purchase stuff. I think it maybe this revolution feeling, but in a positive way.
Yeah. So if you're a startup founder today, you have a lot to worry about.
Yes.
Like product market fit should be your only objective when you're starting the company. And so you're talking to customers, you're doing market research, you're iterating on the actual product and the technology. Where does brand fit into all of that product market fit equation?
Sure. I don't think brand is something, the problem is to think of brand as something a part of this.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, let's fluff things up and let's think of a beautiful way to say all this. It's not like that. It should be a part of the equation. So I think just like you don't need to think of branding as a thing to check off your list. I've done it. It's a project. Because if you think like that, just don't do it. Just wait for the Series A. After a Series A, you should worry about it if you haven't already, because you'll scale. And if you scale without a brand, strategy and a design system, you'll have a lot of inconsistencies and you'll just be throwing money away.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think of brand as the design, the colors of what the logo and the website looks like. How much of the visual aspect of a brand is in the brand equation?
Yeah, maybe half.
Half?
Yeah. But I would think as brand, just like product or culture, something that you need to set and think about it, maybe define a positioning or an idea that you represent, a concept like a territory or whatever, part of a strategy, kind of, and then set visual, some kind of visual consistency. So it's good to have some distinctiveness, something that's unique about the brand. And then leave room to experiment and evolve along with the product or along with the culture, along with the business. You'll probably pivot a bit or try and error stuff, and then the brand needs to adjust. And there are some business models in which you can't do that. If you're a consumer brand or in finance, because people need to feel safe about their money. So the more developed the market is, the less room you have to look scrappy. Because people need to trust you, that you are a real company, and a brand helps in that way. So it can work as a differentiator for a SaaS company like us. You don't expect the SaaS to have a brand, and then we are building a brand, and it makes your chief of staff.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're selling to companies, but you're really selling to individuals inside of a company that are going to have an emotional attachment to something as well.
And they need to defend it, and they need to. It's about their career, their image as well. So,
the name of your company is Purple Metrics. Yeah. Purple is a color. How important is the color of your brand?
It's actually blue and red more than purple. Because our point is to mix brand with performance.
Okay.
So it's the mix of, and red, that is the passion and emotion, with the blue, that's the metric part of it, the math part of it. Then we believe in a mix. So it's purple.
Because you used to see like financial institutions all kind of had the same like dark blue.
True.
Trust kind of color. That obviously was on purpose. The kind of the more modern day digital banks are kind of the opposite of that. Maybe that's
blue is the most favorite color in the world.
For
most people prefer blue. Like the majority of people prefer the color blue.
Interesting. Any color blue?
I don't know, because in English it's different, right?
It's just like a psychologically safe, comfortable feeling to look at.
Yeah, maybe because of the sky and the sea, we just are used to it, and it's low vibration, so it doesn't bother you. It's calm and cozy to the eye because of the frequency of the light.
What does purple mean again?
Purple, I don't know. Like you mean the color purple?
Yeah. What does it represent? Something when you're putting it on a brand? Like Nubank is obviously the best startup example here in Latin America.
Sure, and they picked because no one was.
We have like a purple button on our website, and I showed it to someone, and they're like, "You copied Nubank." And I was like, "It's one button. It's like there's not that many colors on the color spectrum."
Yeah, they are the owners of purple. I can just say it's after Nubank. We are honoring a great brand in Brazil. It's related to royalty, because royals were the ones that were allowed to use purple in Europe. So it's kind of a fancy color. And not very common because you don't find it in nature that much.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's an odd, like quirky color.
Yeah.
That's only born if you mix. It's made by mixing other colors, so it's made out of a blend. So that's kind of the concept behind the brand.
Yeah, cool. Tell us what Purple Metrics is, and why did you start it? What was the problem or the opportunity that you saw in the market?
So everyone would ask me, if you were inviting me to the podcast 3 years ago, your first question would be, how can we measure branding? So I was the public face of Brand Gym I was the CEO back then. And people would just ask me 2 or 3 times a week. Every founder, every sales meeting, every mentorship, every podcast. And I was like, why is people asking me this so much?
This is a problem that traditional brands have with like TV advertising, where you don't have proper analytics to actually measure.
I was listening to a podcast today with the CMO of Unilever, the global CMO. And he starts by saying...
So he's probably one of the 10 biggest CMOs in the world, basically.
Yeah. And he starts by saying, we lack forms to measure branding.
We like what?
We lack ways to measure branding. I was like, oh, I need to put that on my deck. So everyone was asking me how to measure. And I think it's because I was driving results to branding. So they were seeing the results. And my first angels were clients that I drove results to their companies through branding. So they saw it was possible, but it was so intangible. And it wasn't a problem until, so marketing, they spend like 10% of a company's revenue on average, because startups spend more. And we don't know how this goes, part of this investment. And it wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the performance apocalypse that we are living. So VCs are telling me we are not investing in companies anymore that have a thesis, that growth thesis oriented by performance. And companies are hitting a performance plateau. You put more money and you don't see the results in the same.
There's not a good, clear ROI there.
No, and with the cookies and data privacy, media prices will go up. So all of this in the recession. So in order to be successful now, you need to invest in top of the funnel awareness, SEO, organic reach, PR, influencers, all of this stuff that's really tough to measure. So I understood that there is an opportunity, just like Brand Gym, that a market was forming, a market is being formed here. It's actually a huge market because there is a way to track branding, but it's super outdated because we weren't looking at brand marketing in the last decade. We were focused on last click attribution.
How was it measured back in the day?
It's called brand health tracking. It's done by huge like services, data services.
Yeah, like the research,
the
research,
Canary, Muir Brown. It's a $45 billion market. A third of it is already types of software. And so it's a huge market. And it's growing. 80% of Purple Metrics clients didn't use any software or anything, any type of research. So we are opening a market. So I understood that it's a big market. It's obsolete. I was talking to a CEO of one of the big dinosaurs, a global CEO, and he said, I love what you guys are doing. Obviously, I can't invest, but we are looking at other stuff, like deep data stuff. We are not looking at this, and someone needs to update it. So Unilever CEO is looking for it. Everyone is looking for ways to track it because it's becoming more important in marketing right now. And we have so many talents in Brazil and Latam on marketing. We win all the prizes. Every advertising festival, every ad agency in the world, in Brazil, in the US, in the UK, is run by Brazilians. So we have the talent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like Nizam Guanais is like the king of the advertising industry.
We have all the talent, but we didn't propose.
There are actually a lot of them are from Bahia, aren't they?
Yeah, in Rio.
In Rio.
Yeah.
Where you're from?
Rio, yeah. But I think we didn't have a tech ecosystem in Brazil to propose to the world a software that's really innovative. We have a great Martechs here, but they have a business model, a product that's similar to something that was big outside of Brazil already, and they do a version of it that's good for Latam. What we are doing is like, we know how to do it. Let us tell you how to measure it. And marketing departments, they think globally. We do have a wait list for Spanish-speaking companies because they can't sign for a software only in Brazil.
Yeah, is this software and consulting at the same time, or is it a pure software play?
pure software.
So what does the software
Zero
do?
cogs.
Amazing. 99% gross margins.
Yeah. And taxes, because it's Brazil. But I mean, so we track branding, we do research. So what's the key here to measure branding? It's not to understand, because people try to attribute, you say? Yeah. So I did this podcast, how much did I sold?
Yeah.
So that's not the way to think about it. When you do something like a podcast or an event or PR, whatever, what you generate, besides feelings, it's an intent of behavior.
You say it's more of there's a clear ROI there, but it's a long-term ROI. It's not a one action, click, buy. It
can be only according to, there is a research, very respected one, that says that only 5% of clients are in the moment of the purchase.
Yeah.
So sales cycles that takes 5 years or whatever. So 95% of your potential clients are not buying right now, are not in the market. So it's not only long-term, because to the 5% that are in the time of the purchase, you'll sell immediately. So the point is, when you get attached to a brand, it goes into the pool of brands that you'd purchase if you were purchasing this product.
Like register that in the brain. This is a brand I like.
Yes, exactly.
At some point.
I would buy from them.
Yeah.
I would keep buying from them or whatever. So the point of this type of marketing is to generate that type of feeling, that type of intent. So what we do is that we ask people, so it's a research, we ask people, so we generate first-party data, we generate an intel from the clients that are already in your channels, on your channels. And you are not generating intel for them. So instead of paying people to answer stuff, which is expensive, our clients install our widget, send our form link. It's a lot of questions, but each person will only answer to a few of them. And then our data science will match it up. And we'll ask about feelings. We'll ask about intent of behavior. We'll ask about brand attributes. So I can tell you that people that heard Chumigo's podcast, they identify with the brand and they are willing to buy. And it's because of the brand attribute of coolness or whatever. So you kind of can track what part of your communication is doing this, because you can divide it by segment as well. So you can do it with soccer fans and understand that they...
Can you only do it with existing customers, or can you do it with people that are affected by the brand that are not ready to purchase yet as well?
What we do now is that we use their channels. So they need to be in your channel somehow. It can be a landing page in a campaign, or you can push, notificate them, or WhatsApp them the link, or email them the link. Our roadmap for the future is to aggregate data, unify data from social, from Google search and other informations that are out there to increase the model. So
this is essentially like a feedback message. Hey, thanks for being our customer. We'd love your feedback. Do you mind spending 5 minutes on this survey?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a quick survey, because then we match all we only ask a few stuff to each person.
And then what the business gets on the back end of that is a dashboard that says, this is why people are.
Yeah, and it's fun because our customers, they are more from they are more people than numbers, so the feedback they gave us, we like this color, and can I print screen this? And every time we do this correlation and stuff like that, and they are like, I don't get it. And they're like, relevance is driving preference. Thanks. So, but we have clients that say that their cost of acquisition is going down since they installed Purple Metrics, because now they know what's driving behavior and they are increasing these types of communications. We have a client that sponsored soccer and didn't know if it worked, and it's a lot of money. And they found out that it's worked. They are less willing to churn, and they like the brand more and understand the benefits more. There are clients that put us on their OKRs. So it's not just selling, and they want to develop a brand as well. So different types of users.
Yeah, and ultimately every company is either trying to find product market fit or try and find it again, because if you're not continually innovating. And so it's all about talking to customers as much as possible. I mean, this is like my main job as founder CEO of a company, which is talk to the customers, try and understand how they're thinking about our brand and what is maybe we have like 4 or 5 potential value propositions. Which one are they?
Exactly.
What's the one that they're actually saying that's the one that
And Purple Metrics will tell you the selling power of each, the distinctiveness, and which one is more present in your brand. And
then based on that data, the company says we're going to invest more into this.
Yeah. And then you can, there are open comments. So it's like a social listening, constant social listening. And it's real time. So you can do something and understand how people responded. And then you can roll out.
Are there any company examples you can share?
I can, but I might not tell their names.
Yeah.
So this one, they sponsored soccer.
What kind of company?
Bank.
Okay.
Bank. And the soccer sponsorship is like $40 million a year or something. So it's a lot of money. And
this was a sponsorship inside of the arena, on TV, social media.
The teams, yes. And so the clients in the comments, they will tell the benefits of the product.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was like, everything was like 15 points higher than the average of the bank. And they said, like, I will never cancel because you back my team. And stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's loyalty.
That's loyalty. And every loyalty metric would go up. So that's one. There is another one that they found out that their brand was very elastic. So people would buy anything from them. So they were selling shoes, and they started thinking of other products.
Explain that word, elastic.
Yeah, it's you'd buy a car from Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's elasticity.
Yeah, I trust Apple so much that if they came out with any gadget, I'd be open to buying it.
Yeah, and you kind of know, right? If I say Nubank is opening a restaurant,
that'd be weird.
Yeah, but maybe a hospital. I don't know. You'd kind of. Well, I kind of feel like
if they started like a new mobile phone plan, probably buy that.
Yeah, but and you kind of know how this plan would be, right?
Yeah.
Just because you know them as a company.
Yep.
So that's attributes that already go to the next product under the same brand. So they successfully launched different products under the same brand. So now they have more revenue. And there is one that they were having a lot of churn, and they ranked the improvements of the service, because people think that brand is built by communication, but it's actually by the experience that you have with the company in the end, right? So on Purple Metrics, they saw what were the problems that were hitting the brand more. So they prioritized that, and then their perception went up.
Very interesting. Are there other technologies that you see Purple Metrics adopting beyond kind of this survey product?
Yeah, I think we want to go from awareness to lifetime value. So we already developed a lifetime value algorithm. It worked in retail and in services and in fintech. We tested with 3 different business models. And our idea is to cross data, for example, from Google search, where we can assume a bit of market share through share, and we can integrate with social media data to understand feelings towards the competitors. So we can improve the models if we can gather more data from different data that's already out there.
Plug into a bunch of data sources that then calculate kind of a prediction of what the lifetime value of a certain type of customer is.
And then we can connect to the business KPIs. So I can tell you that the soccer fans that identify with the brand and are more loyal because of the attribute soccer have a higher lifetime value. We can connect everything.
Very cool.
I think we can. We are trying to. But
Awesome.
That's the vision. Yeah.
Who are your customers today? Generally speaking, are they Brazilian companies?
Brazilian, yeah.
And is any specific segment, or you kind of work with anybody and everybody?
B2B, B2C, financial players.
Like, would you work with
health.
with like even SMBs, like an individual restaurant?
I think SMB. I think an SMB because they wouldn't have the quantitative, because it's quantitative. So we need to have if you have 10,000 users accessing your website, for example, you can already measure. So it's not a lot, but for a small business, they might not be able to.
Yeah, how many customers need to give feedback in order to have a relative kind of brand score?
Yeah, for you to trust it. I mean, from 100, you can already use it in a statistical way, but you probably have a lot more variation that you'd like. It's not represent the truth, but you can trust from 100 people answering. But we would say, with 500, you can be pretty sure that the 52%, it's actually 52%.
Yeah. And for founders who are just getting started, we talk a bit about Purple Metrics and, agencies like Brand Gym. When should they think about hiring a Brand Gym? When should they think about, buying your software?
Brand Gym developed something called minimum viable brand.
Yeah, this is awesome. Can you explain this?
I can. Yeah, it's what's the minimum? Because founders.
Also, the branding on that.
I love it.
Is perfect for startup world.
Yeah, and it costs $10,000, so it's maybe less.
What costs $10,000? To do the process, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's around that right now, but maybe less, depends, but around it. And it's because founders would ask Brand Gym all the time, what can we cut from this scope? And so they got to this minimal version on, let's set you up for starting, and you'll have a logo that's already good, and a visual system that's a seed system because it will grow, and a positioning bio text, so I feel the first things for the founders not to worry about it. So I think it's pretty much, I would start with it. We started Purple Metrics with this project, and after a year, because obviously branding is our strategy, we redid a bit. We developed more elements visually. So people can hire, startups can hire Brand Gym right at the start when they are for angel checks.
And then the people that are working at Brand Gym that are helping put that brand together, what are they? What questions are they asking the company? What are they looking at in the market to actually say, okay, this is the right color, this is the right style?
I think in the minimum viable brand, the founders already have so much information. Because to start a company, you are really, really focused on talking to consumers and so on. So I think the key is that they use the intel that are already inside founders, and it's just helping them reach the positioning and set stuff, but there is not a research work on it. And but then to do a branding, a proper branding project, I would say after Series A, maybe after a seed, if some more competitive market, then they will do research, talk to consumers, analyze competitors, understand the market, then set a strategy, right? This is how we position ourselves. This is what we mean as a brand. This is our concept, and then translate it into visual, into verbal stuff.
At what point should a company hire internal brand people?
Yeah. What I'm seeing is after a Series B, but depends on the strategy. Because for some companies, brand is more important. And in some markets, brand is more important. So it depends on the business strategy, but after a Series B, it's pretty sure someone will need to.
And what is that person doing at the company?
What's their work, right?
Yeah, what do they do for 40, 50 hours a week?
So they make sure they might set a strategy. It's not there yet, but it's basically saying, we as a company, we mean these things. I'm Coca-Cola, I mean happiness. I'm Nike, I mean motivation, being super broad. But how that translates into website, how that translates into campaigns, how should the CS, the people talking to consumers, how is their tone of voice? And so just helping everyone in the company
align
on the brand. But also what I'm seeing now is a brand department integrating with a performance department inside one area, one strategy. And these people is driving organic traffic, is generating demand for the performance to only like capture, because if you are Nike, you probably know when I'm getting a new pair of shoes because you already have the data. So what's the job of a brand person? Is making sure that I'm ready to buy Nike by the time I'm ready to buy shoes. And
you're still in love with the brand.
Yeah. And what's the job of the performance person? Knowing that I need a new pair of shoes and popping up in front of me. So basically that. So, and then it depends on the strategies. For some companies, it means PR. For some companies, it means SEO, social networks, influencers, events, content, community. So it depends on but no, usually is organic reach and driving down the cost of performance.
Do you ever meet a big company that when you actually talk to a lot of the stakeholders internally, they're not actually aligned on what the brand is?
Oh, that's the standard.
That's the standard?
Yeah. You have these companies, these huge companies.
And these are like successful companies.
Yeah, sure. Sometimes you have a strong culture, so they know, but it's not reflected in the communication. That's easier for a brand person to work with. But sometimes it's just because when a company grows, this area starts looking at this and this area starts looking at that, and people don't like each other and so on. So it's kind of all these different companies inside of one company.
Yeah. How correlated is company culture to company brand?
It's very connected, very much, because you can't represent something that you are not.
Yeah. I was joking with my team today. We have 3 customer success people that basically talk to our customers all day. And then we have this Slack channel called Clientes Estão Falando, customers are talking. And anytime a relevant piece of information comes through that channel, they post it and people comment and everything else. And I was joking because our brand's called Amigos, and it's kind of a play on word of amigos, friends. And there's some of our customers that I think they're in love with our brand because they've made a friend with one of our customer success people and we're giving them attention. And like, there's like this emotional connection between people in our company and them. Yeah.
What people, I see 2 types. That's my next TikTok video. So it's a spoiler. It's recorded, but not edited. There are 2 ways to build a brand, I see. One is through the product and just, you don't care about the brand and you just.
What would be an example of that?
iFood.
Okay.
So you just.
It's more about the service.
Yeah, you just.
Fast delivery thing.
Yeah. The name means nothing. It's an app that serves food.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they mean as a brand, right? So you just do stuff and people will create an image of you by the experience that they have with you and the memories they associate with you. So that's a brand.
So if like iFood were to adopt Purple Metrics and get all this data back, is it possible that their customer base actually there's like 3 or 4 different segments of how they view the brand?
Probably I would like my bet, but I'm always wrong. So that's fun. But my bet would be that the behavior would be up in the metrics and the emotional would be low. So the behavior probably, because the people that are already there.
There's not a strong emotional connection to the brand. It's a utility.
It's a utility.
It's a fast way to get food.
Yeah, so it's not very complex and layered, and it's a bit more fragile than when you have the experience and an emotional link, because that protects you. And then there's the other way around, companies that build a brand and then the product follows, which is also not good because you don't want to like represent, I don't know, self-esteem or whatever and not deliver, right?
Yeah.
Because then people won't come back either. So you can either start by the emotional or start by the product. The ideal thing is that you combine the two of them in the end.
What does marketing and branding look like in the future?
So what I feel like we spent the last decade or a couple of decades worrying about performance. So we were like, if you wanted to succeed in marketing, you had to study engineering. And like marketers are going back to marketing. And I think obviously we need to learn math and statistics, more like economics that matches the knowing people's behavior and also numbers. So I think in the future we'll mix branding and performance. So I think companies will want to mean something. They will look for their concepts, for their values, for the ideas they stand for, but also want to drive sales and behavior. So I think a marketer will be someone that really understands people, but understands numbers.
Yeah, if you understand what's driving the brand, then you can invest deeply into that performance marketing based on that insight, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not only concept and purpose and nice communications and ad campaigns, but it's not only price and promotion, because that's what we ended up with, coupons and promotions and so on. And now it's like consumers are tired as well, as they are tired of brand speeches and, brand.
What's a brand speech?
I know, brand like concepts and all these like emotional stuff that's not linked to the product.
Fluffy words.
Yeah. So I think mixing both of them is the future of marketing, and worrying about and measuring everything, the entire funnel, not only the bottom of the funnel. So did me being present in a music festival as a brand helped bringing new clients or making people more loyal or increasing my price or my market share?
Cool. The last, I guess, 6 or 7 months, the economy has been tanking. Any advice to companies on how they should run their marketing in this, over the next 2 or 3 years during this downturn? So
what's the impulse for CEOs and CFOs is to cut the investments horizontally. So let's leave the bottom of the funnel, the performance marketing budget on, because that's what's driving results. I can't cut Google ads. I'm actually taking the opposite approach in our company. Yeah. So I'd say either the opposite approach or maybe a vertical cut. So cut a bit of every part of it. So it's scientifically proven that brands that invest in advertising in downturns, they end up with a higher market share. Yeah. And media is less expensive now because that's less people doing advertising. And brand perception is something that compounds over time. So if you stop investing, you kind of lose. Yeah, now is basically a cheap opportunity or a less expensive opportunity than last year to invest in your brand. Yes. We're going to get out of the downturn over the next couple of years, and then you'll be kind of prepared to step on the gas again. Yeah, and if you don't invest in this period, people will forget about you and lose the emotional link because they didn't relate to you in the last couple of years. Obviously, you can't spend the money that you don't have, but if you do have, don't go all in the performance because that's super short term. The cost of each purchase will go up. And when you start losing, like minute by minute, your marketing will become more expensive because you lost the brand aspect of it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then one day you'll be spending more than what you make to sell, to make one sale. And it takes time to build it again. So you don't want to lose. It's like stop going to the gym. And then one day you need to, I don't know, run a marathon. And oh my God, I don't have any muscles. But you can't do anything overnight. So if just stopping everything is not a good idea, maybe just leave a portion of a brand investment in top of the funnel, but maybe cut the things that are made to expand to new audiences and to grow bigger than what you are right now.
So yeah, if you were head of marketing at a company today that had a couple $1 million budget for the next couple of years, how would you allocate that money?
I would, it's because I can't answer it because it's not scientific. It depends
on the business.
In the business. But I would understand what's driving behavior and leave that.
Just go all in on that.
Yeah, go all in or not cut everything. But I'm hearing a lot of companies that are just kind of bootstrapping marketing or going full organic. Also works. Any
creative ideas you've heard of that companies have used to do marketing and branding strategies without spending a lot of money? I guess is this what guerrilla marketing is considered?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with PR influencers. You can amplify your message not only through media. So I think people can be creative on that. And then there is also always stuff going viral and like TikTok and so on. So it's about finding where consumers are, what are they interested in, and trying to be creative. That's what marketers do best. If you try to shift marketing into a spreadsheet, then it will stop working. You can take all the magic out of it.
Yeah, we're going all in on content and community. So content. So our customer is a micro entrepreneur. So the content is an evergreen strategy. It's a long-term strategy to level up these micro entrepreneurs, empower them to be better at what they do. The community aspect is kind of similar to that, where we can connect a lot of these entrepreneurs together. They're going to help each other. We're the brand that gets all the credit for that association. And now they're part of this community that they're emotionally tied to. Yeah, go ahead.
A brand commented on our TikTok today. The comment was like this: "Thank you so much for the insights. We are using everything that you say. And hopefully we'll grow. And when we are big, we'll hire you guys."
Awesome.
So that's branding explained.
And then the other part of the content strategy is partnering with influencers. Because there's thousands of influencers here in Brazil that already talk to our target customer.
Yes.
And they already have influence. They already have that brand credibility. And we can basically pretty cheaply borrow that influence from them.
Yes.
And then do these tests. So we hire a YouTuber, pay the YouTuber to make a video about our business, the benefits, how it works, so on and so forth. And then when those videos start working, we can say, okay, we're just going to replicate that video with these other 100 influencers, and then start testing other ideas as well.
Yeah, we are building very similar strategy. We are building the first brand performance machine because we are very used to growth machines and paid media machines and SEO machines and so on. What we are doing as a company, as a brand, is mapping all these places and media that reach the audience that we want, and building relationships to go on their podcasts and YouTube channels and blogs. So we'll bring people into our ecosystem, and then it's a spiral. They just stay there, and we are creating this relationship and emotions with them, driving relevance, identification, passion, and all these things that we measure in Purple Metrics, with Purple Metrics. And then 5% of them are ready to purchase every day. So it's just about hooks to bring them into our sales process. But it's much more like,
Yeah, they're all going to wake up one day and say, we need to invest in branding.
Yeah,
I know who to hire.
Marketing research. We need to invest in marketing research. I know who I want.
Yep.
So by the time they are ready, we will find them, but they need to have a connection with us already.
I want to get into your founder journey and talk about that a bit. Anything else related to branding that we did not cover?
I don't think so. It's already an MBA in branding.
Amazing. So your first business was an agency business.
Services, yeah.
Services business. Now you're building a software technology business. Tell me what the difference is in that approach. What's the difference in the leadership style, just the day-to-day challenges?
So I think it's good that my first business, I had to make money from day one. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any money. So I'm very concerned about revenue now. But I think it's funny because when, if we have half a year runway, for me, it's like a lot of money because I'm used to having like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I won't lose
half
sleep.
a year is not scaring you. That would scare the hell out of me.
I won't lose sleep until it's like, no, just kidding. But it's a totally different culture. So in a service agency, I was very concerned of people not working so much because you tend to like sell more projects and you can deliver. And they are facing the clients every day. So it's a different rhythm and a different culture. In tech, is much more about every piece of it working together. That's why I stepped in as head of product, because kind of middle of it.
You're the CEO as well?
Yeah, I'm the CEO and head of product. So, but as head of product, I can coordinate tech and marketing. So I'm like in the middle of them and making everything run smoothly. So I think seeing the companies as a machine more than a living organism.
Yeah.
I think so. The culture very different. Dealing with investors, I was dealing with them as partners. Like they were the investors of my clients. Now they are my investors.
Well, when did you started the company? About a year ago?
Yes, a year. Yeah, because I thought it would be inside Brain Gym, so I started a year and a half, but then we spun off like a year.
And that's when you raised money.
I raised money inside of Brain Gym, but
cool.
But it was a different company already in a larger group.
Yep.
So my first angels really believed in me because it was a crazy idea.
Amazing.
But I love them; they are great.
Yeah, if it's not a bit crazy, it's probably not worth backing as a venture investor.
Yeah,
needs to have high risk and high reward.
Business wasn't in the price,
Yeah.
It was more like a backup, and it made money. It's cash flow positive, so it's because I think in the future, a software could have a service company inside to help people understand the results, but the cultures are so different so that's it, and it's more task-driven, task-oriented, so that let's test everything, and sprint-driven, so let's do this, and product market.
How many people are at the company today?
11.
And what are their roles?
So we say we have a red team, a blue team, and a purple team that's in the middle.
Okay.
So red team is marketing, sales, client success, a head of business, and an assistant. Purple team, which is in the middle, is product design, data, that's still in product, because it's much more like developing algorithms and so on. So it's more about the methodology than tech now. And me, like quotes, because I'm also CEO. And then the blue team, the CTO, which is my co-founder, and 2 developers. And then we have 2 freelance developers as well.
Cool. And as head of product, what's your general framework for understanding what the customer wants and then testing? And
very similar to branding. I talk to customers.
Yeah, it sounds very similar.
Yeah, I talk to consumers. I understand what they need. And then I tell the designer what to do. So it's exactly just like.
And then are you creating a hypothesis and saying, this is what I think is true. Let's go test it. This is how we're going to test it.
Yeah, we did the first version was like based on research and intuition, and we did an MVP. And then I run discovery. I love talking to clients. I run discoveries. That's my role, like my specific.
And when you say you're talking to clients, you're talking to heads of marketings.
Yeah.
Heads of marketing at companies.
Branding, yeah. It varies, but it's kind of this. So interviewing clients, organizing the insights, and deciding on a roadmap. Then like dividing it into tasks, putting it on Trello, and then just like daily doing stuff with the team, like what did you do, and then approaching it and looking a bit at numbers, but more I like to look more at our client success is called insights, because it's to help clients reach better insights. So I like watching to their meetings, because that's when I understand how clients use the product, because they ask like stupid stuff and I'm like, how don't they know that? Oh, they are not seeing it. Okay. So
yeah. How would you describe your leadership style?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'm very concerned about diversity. So I have people with different backgrounds, and I like to be there for them and like help them develop themselves as professionals. So not tell them what to do, but help them figure it out. And I'm like a fast, like do stuff, and I don't know, try to approach things creatively and I try to think a bit more long-term than the team.
What's long-term for you at this stage?
Oh, half a year.
Yeah. I asked Ariel and Danilo, who are building Mata, this question. I think they said something like 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months is my roadmap is 3 months. I can't plan for more than 3 months ahead, like with certainty. But I tried, for example, now what I'm working with them is we are starting to reach product market fit. We found in this discovery, we found the first cases of product market fit.
Do you have a definition of product market fit?
So I'll tell, what we found was they had to cut costs in marketing and then fought to keep us. So I think that's product market fit.
Yeah.
And there is a company that's putting us, they send a slide presentation with KPIs to the investors every month, and Purple Metrics is a slide.
Oh, cool.
So I think that's product market fit as well. Because if they are looking, if we are increasing so
it's important for them, yeah.
Yeah.
So they need it.
Yeah, they need it. So I think those.
It's not nice to have.
Yeah, those cases. And yeah, so why did I say it?
Leadership style, yeah.
Yeah, because then now I know what's driving product market fit is making decisions on platform because of our data. So that's our elasticity. So I want to drive it up and I will follow it. Okay, how do we do it? So it's a cycle that will lead 2 to 3 months to put it in the product, release it, see how people is using. But now what I'm saying to them is once we reach product market fit, like fully, and it's interesting also to look at the churn, because churn might be higher in the beginning because you sold to so many people that you shouldn't have.
Y Combinator's definition of product market fit is basically it's retention. Yes,
and then you see that those people that shouldn't be buying, they bought it and now it was wrong, and now we know who not to sell to. And then I'm like, when we hit product market fit like fully, we'll need to shift the culture to a more high performance culture.
Yeah, are you thinking about growth yet?
No.
How are you
No, I'm thinking of like growing, continue to grow. We are growing 30% a month.
Awesome.
So it's a lot.
But you're not like, until you have strong product market fit, you're not thinking about a growth strategy, scalable growth strategy.
No, because I don't really know who to sell to.
Yeah.
But I already know we'll need to shift the culture, because we are very test oriented and looking everything with a qualitative.
Yeah.
Oh, they want to cancel? Let's talk to them, So that will need to change in half a year.
Yeah. One framework is like in the beginning, you have to do things through first principle reasoning. Yeah. You have to do all these tests and observe what's happening, talk to your customers, And once you nail it, you have to do kind of the opposite of first principles and say what works.
Yeah, that's a process.
Okay, we need a sales team. Great, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 3 months to product, tech, and marketing in terms of roadmap. But for culture and business, I try to look 6 months ahead. Not every day, but a little bit. So I try to balance this. And be really there for the people. So I know about their lives and what's going on, what they like to do in the company. Try to map how they can grow when the company grows, and understand, this person wants to do that, all right, and who will do this? Someone new, okay. So, yeah. And I'm very transparent. That makes them anxious, but I don't care.
Can you give me an example? I'm the same.
Like they know how much money we have in the bank and how fundraising is going, and that, I don't know, stuff like that.
Maybe it makes them anxious. Maybe it also gives them a sense of peace because there's not a black box where that they don't know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. I show them the P&L, anything they want. If they ask me something, I'll tell them.
I was the founder of my first startup. I was the opposite of transparent. I was so afraid to expose what was actually happening to like all of the employees, out of fear that like maybe everyone's going to leave tomorrow if they know we only have like 3 months of runway. That was the wrong approach.
Yeah, I don't.
And now I think radical transparency and just being vulnerable and kind of exposing myself as a human to everyone and puts us kind of all on the same page.
We were hiring the head of business, the leader of the red team. And I was like, yeah, those are the 3 finalists. I prefer this one. No. And they would go on LinkedIn and, we like this one as well. So that's transparency, because I don't recall knowing who the candidates to be my boss were. I never had this information as an employee. Or, I mean, if they ask me how much money I make, I tell them. And stuff like that. So it's, I don't think it scales when the company is big, but I think for now, I like it. They are building this with me,
Yeah. What's it like working with your brother?
I love it. And we always did stuff together. We are really close, and people would think we were twins when we were growing up. And we are completely different people, personalities, but the core values are the same because we were raised in the same way. And when our mom first ran to office, we did a campaign together, and he did an app in college, a dating app, obviously.
Most people do in college.
Yeah.
Dating app or selling T-shirts to their friends?
Yeah, it was a dating app that would work in parties. So if you would buy a ticket to a party, then you could see the other people that already also bought the ticket, and you could
start chatting with them.
Before, that was the idea, and they did never launch, but I did the branding. And at my first company, we wanted to have an app because he's an app coder for before he was, and he did an app for branding, like a brand book and an app. So we had previous experiences, and I think I like it because it's just full commitment and trust, and I get to see my niece, who is 2 years old. She comes to the dailies.
Is the company all working at the office?
No.
Remote,
yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's all right. We do have an office here, but it's not mandatory. And I like working remote. I like having an office to go to, but our designer lives in Germany. Our insights person lives in New York. We have a coder. She lives in South Africa.
You're a multinational.
We are multinational. Brazilians, but they are all over. Yeah.
Cool.
So we have best talent.
One final question. You mentioned earlier a system for book reading.
I do.
Very curious.
I do have. So I love reading. It's my hobby. And I like reading in teams. So going deep on a subject.
Reading in teams?
It's themes, like theme.
Okay, themes.
Yeah. Sorry.
So go through that a bit more.
Subjects. So now I'm reading contemporary. So I have a notepad in my phone, and it's organized. It had already 80 books for me to read in the future. But
about one topic, one theme?
no, about it's organized by contemporary women. That's what I'm reading now. Then there are subtopics. So I was reading Russian and like Eastern Europe. Now I'm going to Brazilians and America, like Americans in general, like South and North America.
Are these like history type books?
No, just like literature.
Okay.
Then I have entrepreneurship, fundraising, metrics, marketing, and like social stuff. And so I classify them in topics, and I go in topics. So it's almost like studying.
Spend a couple months focus on one thing.
Yes. So I'm just out of reading about Russia and stuff like that. So I read about the the Second World War through women telling their stories, soldier women.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Then about a work camp in Romania. Kind of, those types of things. Now I'm reading about hippies in California when...
That should be a good read.
Yeah, it started good. It's a Brazilian that lives in California when they started planting weed, when it became legal. So that's the background for the stories, and I'm going to more like 70s, 80s. So I organize it, and I have a system. And if you recommend a book to me, like the one, what the founder within,
the Great CEO Within,
the Great CEO Within
from Matt Mochari.
Yeah, I will go into fundraising or maybe entrepreneurship, leadership.
Yeah, the Great CEO Within is what I'd call a tactical manual of how to be a founder and CEO of a startup.
So management.
Yeah, it's kind of like everything.
Yeah, but leadership management.
But it's tactical. It's not.
Yeah. So that would go under management leadership. I would put like Derek, because it's you, and it counts as well.
Then you follow up with me and tell me if it was good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as methodical with this list like you are, but I typically I don't read books randomly. Mm-hmm. I have certain things that I'm interested in at the moment, or want to learn, or want to improve myself, and then I'll find, what are the best books, and then just consume them at a pretty rapid pace.
Because when I started Brain Gym, I had to understand about technology and startups, and I started. Then that's when the system came up, because I'd go, all right, culture. Let's read the Netflix, or let's read the Andreessen, the what you get, what you do, I don't remember. What you do is who you are, or whatever. Yeah. Ben Horowitz's book. Ben Horowitz, yeah. So I would go in topics, and I would say, oh, now I know culture, I know what it's about. And then I started expanding it to literature and everything. Thank you, Guta. This was fun. Let's do it again. But I don't know. On TikTok. Let's do it again on TikTok. Ooh, I like this idea. Yeah. We'll do a TikTok. Maybe a dancing TikTok? No, I never did the dance. We might have to do a dancing TikTok. Maybe when we hit 100K followers. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.